Hello everybody. Today we're going to have a look at the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. I know I showed it as part of my live stream a couple of weeks ago to my group, and several people were very taken with this deck. And I know I was going to ask people to choose a deck as a favourite, and I'd talk about it in more detail for the next live stream, which I will do. But I've chosen this one because it was quite popular, but it's not one that I am over familiar with. I don't use it really. It's more of a collection deck. But I think people would like to see the images a bit close and a little bit more about it. Well, I won't tell you that much about it because you can find that online and probably with better information than I can give you, but I can show you the pictures anyway. So I think this is actually the second edition. I could be wrong. Maybe not. Not sure. It came out in 2010. Yes, it's second edition. So it was reworked and altered. But when it was printed, I know Baba Studios weren't happy with the print run. There were several copies that didn't come out well. And there was a few shenanigans went on there. Now, apart from the box, which has done this weird thing with the sort of the lamination, it's gone all wrinkly. And normally I would be annoyed, but actually it couldn't be more suitable for a Gothic tarot deck. There's kind of all spiderweb crazing across it, which is kind of cool. So anyway, there's the nice box. I'm not sure about the light for this, but it's probably okay. So let's open. There is a little white book in it. As some of you know, I don't tend to use these much, but it's always interesting to have a look at what they have to say. Usually a basic summary and various keywords, which is all you need, and some sample spreads. But one thing I would point out, which I do like in this, very, very cleverly thought out, is something called the vampire spread. So it says, this spread is not literally about blood-sucking vampires. Instead, it's a way of asking about those people or situations that somehow seem to drain us of life and energy. You might use it if, for instance, there are some people or situations in your life that seem to have a way of depressing you and robbing you of your vitality and enthusiasm for life. Really? I wonder who that applies to. I'm sure we all have a few people we know like that. So anyway, it's otherwise standard. Obviously, if you're watching on YouTube, you can always freeze frame and have a closer look if you need to. So I won't dwell on this. So rather than saying reversals, they've got darker, shadow, or more hidden meanings. It's basically reversals, but with a bit more nuance, perhaps, and a different way of looking at it, which I like. I think that's great, actually. That's one of the things in its favour, is a different way of reading cards that don't necessarily behave or lie as they should. I don't do reversals anymore, to be honest. I don't think you need to, but anyway, if you want to, that gives you a bit of extra. So, a little more on the cards. They have this lovely silver edging. At the time, that was fairly radical, although I think it's more common today. I think as printing techniques have improved in some ways, that's more common. It's quite costly. The deck wasn't cheap at the time, and now it is worth a lot of money if you can even get hold of one. I think especially the second edition, because so many of them turned out faulty. And I think I imagine you have to be a bit careful if you go and look to buy a second-hand deck, because you can't buy a new one anywhere, that you're not getting one of the faulty decks. Fortunately, mine is fine. I don't have any problems with the printing. Every card seems to me to be okay. Here's the back with the Memento Mori back. It's rather fabulous. Just put that there. And let's put that, if you see that in picture, with this crazy box edge there. I'll try and hold them up a bit. So let's go through them one by one. I'll lay them down. So the Fool. I'll try not to be too judgy about this deck. I think, as you probably know, it's not my thing. I'm not really into themed decks. I love looking at other people's themed decks that they share on YouTube, and it's always really nice. And there's some really beautiful Rider-Waite-Smith inspired decks today. Absolutely gorgeous artwork, covering everything you can imagine. In 2010, that kind of thing was just beginning to explode, and now that I can't keep track of them, there are so many, and there's a deck for everybody. But I find, unfortunately, with the themed decks, I've kind of learnt my lesson. I'm not really a collector anyway. I don't have tons of decks as some people do, but I do find that some of the decks I've had, that I get really enthusiastic about it for a few weeks, and then I put it away and never really use it again. Well, sometimes I never use it. I just look at the pictures and think, oh, that's very nice. I can imagine that's great. But they don't get much use, and unfortunately, this is one of them. I bought it because I knew it'd be valuable, I'll be honest. I knew it'd be interesting. I wanted to support Baba Studios. And I think, if you're into the dark and macabre thing, and I think, if you were doing a Halloween spread with like-minded friends and you set the right atmosphere, this would be perfect. So, something else to point out is that the cards are borderless, no border at all. Some people much prefer that, and some people actually cut the borders off their cards, which I think is sacrilege, but each to your own. You do what you like, really. I don't really have a feeling either way on borders or borderless. The card stock's good. It's pretty good quality. It's not amazing, but it's okay. I don't know how it will hold up. I mean, I never use it, so I can't say how it's aging. As you see, they're not numbered, but they are given names. The names, like, as we can see, the High Priestess, so it's Rider-Waite-Smith, so it's from the more modern-ish esoteric tradition. Personally, I'm a bit traditionalist, and I don't believe in not numbering them. I think it is important for various reasons, which I could go into, but I think it's actually really crucial to true tarot that it's numbered. However, I don't think names are always necessary. It's nice, but I think you can do without names. If you consider that when tarot exploded, when it was created, most people were illiterate and they couldn't even read the names anyway, so they often were nameless. You could work that out from just looking at the pictures. They all have very creepy faces. Most things are shot or created to look like nighttime, moonlight, appropriately. It's got all the usual themes and tropes of the Gothic and macabre world. Look at the figure behind, interesting. An old book of spells there. I've got reasonably good light in here, and I think if you were doing this at night, which is probably when you'd want to, maybe with candlelight, I think you would struggle to make out some of the detail, but then maybe you don't need the detail. What she has done is create them so that the faces and the things you need to see are lit either by, in this case, candlelight or moonlight. So you've got a good enough idea. And I think I kind of treat it as a fun deck. I don't think you could possibly take it seriously, but maybe some people would. I don't know. But I think you could have a lot of fun with your friends with this around Halloween. Notice the devil is injecting her in the arm with a syringe in his hand. Very clever. And very creepy, of course. Just one tiny star. Very creepy kid. I quite like this card, even though the charm just freaks me out. That reminds me of a scene from a film that I like, actually, the risen dead figure. Very evocative. The world is a bit more gentle. Got an annoying fly keeping me company. Nice sky in this one. I'll go a bit quicker because, as I say, you could always stop the play and have a closer look if you want to. I think it's quite personal, the choice of images and the characters and the faces, which is something I don't particularly find helpful if you're doing a tarot reading. I prefer things to not be personal and not be overly expressive either way, because I think that then limits you in terms of how you read it. And one thing I'll always say is a card is not necessarily positive or negative. It can be either, for lots of reasons, and to do with the relationship and the spread and so on. And I don't particularly like it when card designers try and force you to read a card in the way that they think it should be read. But that's just me. That's very clear image, that one. Nosferatu on that one. I feel, now I look at this deck again, I still don't think I'd use it. But I think it is quite hit and miss. I think some images, this is true of all tarot decks to some extent, but there's quite a lot of cards which I just don't think quite do it. There certainly aren't enough really good ones to override that feeling I have. I'm not really selling it, am I? But it's just my opinion. Somebody out there would love it. To be honest, I would part with this deck. I would sell it, but I just can't be bothered, and I'm not sure whether the prices that people are asking for now are really what they're getting. But I suppose I would be open to offers, because otherwise it's just sitting on my shelves and rising in value, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe I should hold on to it. She reminds me of, I can't remember her name. She's a famous actress from Harry Potter. So yeah, as you see, I can see here, and you can probably see on the camera, it's pretty good, that there's nothing wrong with the quality of this print run. The cards are really good. That's very creepy, King of Pentacles. And finally, just a memento mori. It's just there at the end. It's very good. So there you go. The Bohemian Gothic Tarot from Baba Studios. 2010. And I hope you enjoy that. And I'll see you all another time. Bye for now.